I'm reborn. It's time of chaos and madness. There is a new form, and I follow it. Far away from life, rediscover peace to see the black side of the sky. Before the end of days, visions, they reconstruct my face from dust of eons. The state of catharsis is mental disease. The meaning was lost and never returned to this place. A great revelation of thought of negation. Void is the key to eternal dream. Darkness will kill the fragments of God in me. I got revelation of truth. I know what is false and what is real. This prophecy is lost when the light is gone. No one will hear your lamentation.
Hi, this is Modor of the Polish atmospheric blackened death metal band INANES, and you're listening to The Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International, and I'd like to congratulate Metal Messiah Radio with its 30th anniversary.
Modor, thank you very much for taking time out for this interview, and I want to welcome you to the Metal Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Modor, if you don't mind, please present yourself and which band have you played in before formed this great band INANES?
Okay, obviously I'm a drummer. I've spent more than half of my life drumming. My previous bands, a couple of years ago before I started INANES, I had this, I introduced this policy of strict division line between what I did in the past and what I'm doing now. So going back to my past, to my bands that I used to play in, is something I don't much like to do, really. But of course, I understand you're interested. The first band that I started was Callot and Bolot. It was a strict black metal band. This was the first that I started. We released 2 albums together. They're available, both of them on YouTube, so you can listen to them. Then I became a session drummer for the band Moriturus. It's a pagan black metal band. We released 1 album together. And then, in the meantime, with Callot and Bolot, I also had a death metal band called Vexadus, and we released 2 albums together. And then all of a sudden, it all stopped. So we had a disagreement between me and the other guys in both bands. So it suddenly stopped. I quit from both almost the same year. And then I had 3.5 years break from drumming. I didn't play at all with anybody. And then, quite by accident, INANES started. So that was like a new chapter in my life.
Modor, but who have triggered you to become a metal musician, especially becoming a drummer?
Well, nobody really. I triggered myself. When I was a young kid, I have always loved music. And I developed this particular taste for drumming. I cannot tell you a reason for it. It just happened. I always loved listening to drums. It was like I immediately became very attentive of the drum sound. So I even thought of going to a music school once, but fortunately I didn't do it. I'm happy about it.
Some favorite bands that you grew up listening?
Well, at first was heavy metal, really, very much. I was a great fan of Iron Maiden, then Manowar, Running Wild. So like softer stuff, you could say that. And then with time, I suddenly discovered Creator, Sodom. I was a great fan of Sodom as well. And then there was the second wave of black metal that came from Norway, like 91, 92. And it all like exploded in front of my eyes. And that was a great turning point for me. But my favorite bands, yeah, I'd say those that I listed. I was a great fan of heavy metal and death metal back in the day. Death, of course. Well, you probably would, if you start listing them, like I would listen to hundreds probably. But in the 90s in Poland, you didn't have access to a lot of bands that released albums abroad. But then the Swedish death metal, Dismember, Unleashed, stuff like that. So it grew on me over time. So with heavy metal came heavier stuff.
Okay, yeah, having the world being affected, devastated the last 2 years almost with this pandemic. How is the Polish community affected by this pandemic, and how are things going at this right moment? How are the vaccination going?
Vaccinations stopped at 40%. So like 40% of our society have been vaccinated with both doses. And then I think right now the people here are simply indifferent. They believe that there's no pandemic, really, like the virus is gone because it's the summer. Yeah, it's the vacation. So they just think it will never come back to what it was before. It hit us quite heavily, you know. Last year, April, May, June, that was like a zombie apocalypse, really. There was nobody on the streets, nobody going shopping. People shut themselves up at homes. Yeah, waiting for, I don't know who, like zombies, really. It seemed like the life ended here for 2 months, and then you learn to adapt, and things got back to normal during the vacation, and then the second wave came in the autumn. We are divided. There's like 60% of us, or half of this country, think that, well, this is serious and we should prepare for things to come. So like the 4th wave, but still like the other half, they don't think about it much. And economically speaking, the country's been like heavily devastated. People lost their companies, they lost their source of income. Yeah. So they are readapting, really. It's been quite heavy, really, for us.
It's not only Poland, it's the whole world. I mean, we all been suffering for this pandemic for the last year, almost 2 years. You have to go back to what we hear for INANES, this great atmospheric black and death metal band, which was born in the mid of 2017 as a duo in Torun, Poland, by you, Mōdor and Vadus. First of all, did you guys knew each other? I mean, already from before? How did this idea came up to start with the band? And please, INANES, what is this name stand for?
Okay, well, no, we didn't know each other. We met at a pub, quite by accident. We've been introduced by our mutual friend, so we just hook up there for the first time. And it was a conversation like many of such conversations that you can hear around you. You know, two guys meet and they start talking and you start asking questions. What do you do? Do you like music? Oh, yeah, I do. So, okay, do you play an instrument? Yeah, I do. What do you play? Well, I play the guitar. And you? I play the drums. Yeah. So, and then Vadus asked me, well, how about we like mix up together? Yeah. How about we try it out together? And I said, well, okay, yeah. And you have to remember that I had a break for more than 3 years. So I was quite afraid to start again. You know, with such a long break, you just lose this touch with the instrument. But we just met one day and just rehearsed. Just nothing special, really, yeah? And then what we like to call it, the magic happened. It was like immediately we had this bond between us. We just looked at each other when we knew that this is it. Yeah, we were meant for each other. Really, the first rehearsal that we did together was the birth of what you hear on the album, really. So we immediately started writing an album, which doesn't happen often, I think.
But let's go by part. INANES, what is this name stands for?
Yeah, it's a Latin word, and you probably know the English word inane, yeah, to be inane. So this is to represent a lack of meaning. INANES in Latin means that it's devoid of any meaning, that it represents life without purpose, but not in this depressive kind of perspective, but it represents this belief that in life meaning anything. So we are going nowhere. We are going toward the void. You could say that there's a synonym between INANES and the void as a representation of lack of anything, like the empty space of cosmos.
Okay, as you were saying, you guys started rehearsing soon after that you met, just doing the guitar and drums. And during that period, the band put the first brick to build what would become the track, Disharmony and Apotheosis. What do you remember of these singles and what have led you into the Black and Death musical direction?
I remember it was great pleasure composing again. It was great pleasure playing. We didn't set any barriers, any limits. We just let the music flow, so to speak. Why this genre? Well, you call it black and atmospheric, like, of course you can call it whatever you like. We abandoned labels quite a long time ago. We just wanted to play black initially. That was the idea. But we discovered that we didn't feel like it. During composing, it turned out that it was much more natural for us to go into this melodic, more atmospheric, little slower style. So it felt right. We felt right at home with it. So we thought there's no purpose in becoming another Marduk, or some other, speedy black metal band, because there are millions of them right now. So it would be just, repetition overkill, really. So we just thought, well, this suits us well. So we just flew with it. There was no plan behind it. It happened.
Okay.
I'm telling you the truth, really.
Yeah, sure. It's great. I mean, I really love the direction you guys decided to go in. I mean, that you felt yourself being fluid. I mean, but going to 2018, the vocalist DarkMass reinforced your lineup and things definitely speeded up for the band.
Yeah.
And you started to rehearse new material and started looking for a bass player. And in early 2019, you found Oriens and the puzzle was completed.
Yeah.
How did you came in contact with these guys? I'm talking about DarkMass and Oriens. Was this because friends, or did you announce, requesting these guys, or you did an audition?
Yeah, okay, I get it. Well, it was different with both of them. DarkMass is a longtime friend of Vadus, so they knew each other from before. When we decided to to go look for a vocalist. He just immediately came up with the guy. He said, okay, let's give him a try. Vadus has a musical past. He did a couple of bands, not maybe too notorious ones, like very popular ones, but he had a previous experience, all on stage experience as well. And Vadus just told me, well, let's just call him, ask him to come. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And he came, and it was another, bullseye, immediate hit. So he just blended in like smoothly, like he had been part of this band all the time, really. His vocals like complemented what we were playing. He felt exactly the missing puzzle, really. So that was easy because he was a friend, and we developed this chemistry between us almost like the same day. So it was really, really smooth. With Oriens, quite a different story, because we had an audition. We published an announcement online that we were looking for a bass player, and he just signed up for it. Yeah, he just wrote to us and said, okay, I want to try. He had some experience, but he was quite fresh, very young, 24 at the time. So we just gave it a try. He came. We're very shy, a little afraid of us, because we are like twice as old as he is. I'm 45, so he was quite afraid.
The new kid on the block.
Yeah, new kid on the block, exactly. Right. And so it took time for him and for us to get adjusted to each other, but he played the bass the way we wanted. So with time, he began to open himself up to the genre, because he was not exactly into black metal or like extreme metal, so to speak. So it took some time for him, but he blended in as well, and he started contributing. We liked what he played, so he kind of stuck with us.
Okay, after the recruiting of the vocalist and the bass player, you guys went over working on the new album, Acedia, which was finished in the mid-2019, and the recording session started in the beginning of December that same year. How was the music and the lyric process been? Who did what?
Who did what, yeah. The composer is naturally Vadus, because he's the guitar player, but I contributed everything about drumming. Every beat of the drums that you hear on the album is mine. Had total free hand in it. But Vadus is the composer, naturally. I can't play the guitar like well enough to compose. I gave suggestions, he gave some suggestions for drum parts, but it was like just a suggestion, really. As far as the lyrics go, I've been a lyricist all my life, so I wrote a lot of lyrics for many bands before and for people, so it's natural to me to write lyrics. I wrote like all the lyrics for all the 5 tracks on this album, and I gave them to DarkMass, as a material to work with. We just agreed that, okay, he will do with them whatever he wants, because we all have different sensitivities. We all see life from slightly different perspectives. I would hate to force anything on him, So he just used it as a starting point, and he poured himself into these lyrics, like transformed them to resemble the way he thinks. So the lyrics, you could say, are his. And with Oriens, he just contributed as a bass player, but the bass lines are his as well. So he composed what he wanted, yeah.
All right, going back after this process has been finished, how was the recording gone, and how was the mixing and mastering gone by Simon Grodzki?
Simon Grodzki, yeah.
Band Studio.
Well, as you can easily see, the session started very optimistically. I did drums in 3 days. Well, 2, really. The third day was just finishing touches. And we thought that it would be over in a month or 2. And then we started. This is usually the story that you agree on a date to come with the guitar and start composing, and then, things happen. Yeah, something pops up and you say, okay, maybe not this week. Okay, let's postpone till next week. So, and it gathers momentum. Yeah. And all of a sudden you end up like 2 months later, with nothing. So the guitar started a little later than planned, but we were done with the guitars, as far as I remember, by mid-February, I think. Both guitars and the bass were recorded at the time. And then we agreed on the first day to start recording vocals, and then the pandemic hit and all went, to shit, so to speak. So I remember that DarkMass came to the studio for the first time in June 2020 for the first session, which didn't go well. He didn't feel good at the time. He was not happy with the recording, so we had to repeat it. And so the story goes. Yeah, you come another time, you do something, then you think that, well, it's acceptable, but let's redo it. Okay, he's a perfectionist, so it took time for him to record. And with Simon Grodzki and Invent Studio, well, first of all, it's very close to Torun. Yeah, and Simon is a very famous person, at least in this immediate area here in this province that we live in. He has a band, Gnida. Maybe you know it. They are death metal, grindcore band, quite famous in Poland at least. So please do. They're really good. And he's a good producer. He has a good ear for music. So, and DarkMass knew him from before, so it was a natural choice. And he's a professionalist, so that was easy. He's a very easygoing person, so the session was really a pleasure. So, but it took time because of this pandemic. Just went on and on and on, and we couldn't finish it, especially with the vocals. It took like a number of sessions for DarkMass to finish. So we just were unlucky, you could say that.
Talking about that, the pandemic had struck in March 2020 and everything was pulled on hold while DarkMass was trying to complete the vocals recording. But the album was not released until 2021. Why you waited so long to the release of this album, and why not only postponed for a couple of months instead of a whole full year?
Well, if you look at it from this perspective, that it wasn't really a year that we postponed it for, because the mix that we accepted and we felt it was the right mix for what you hear right now on the album, this we got like in December 2020. Really, that was the final mix that we received. Like, we were both happy. Shimon was happy with it. We were happy. We came to the conclusion that this is the perfect sound that we were, like pursuing, going for. So if you look at this perspective, it wasn't really that long. We released the first single in January 2021. So like a month later, because we were discussing the best way to start like advertising the band on the internet, online, we weren't really sure whether that was a good moment to come up with a band, because we were still in the middle of the pandemic. In January 2021, you couldn't see any like immediate end to it. So we just kind of were hesitant about the date, when to start. Then we decided, okay, let's just go for it. Okay, let's release the first single and see what happens. So it was a combination of bad luck, of waiting for the final mix, then of trying to come up with the best strategy to go in these strange times. So I think it just happened this way. Yeah, there was no plan behind it.
In the meantime, your bass player, Oriens, has decided to leave the band this year.
Yeah.
Are you in search now for the new bassist? And why was the reason he parted away with the band?
Yeah, that would be the question you should ask him, really. All I can say on my part is that he probably lost the energy for it. He lost faith that he would see it happen. Maybe he was tired of waiting for things to change. He was very much into playing live. He believed that we would be on stage like back in September 2020, maybe earlier. That couldn't happen. He was very, very dissatisfied with it. He told us on many occasions that he wasn't feeling right, not playing live. He was really pushing toward it, and we just kind of, there was nothing to be done about it. And he probably, it was eating at him, so to speak. He was just gradually losing this energy and will to continue. And he stopped coming to rehearsals. He just wanted to take some time off. And we are right now composing our next album, already quite advanced. He just lost it. And we agreed that the best way to push forward is just that we split ways. Because, there was no way to continue like this. You cannot play with somebody who has no feeling for it, no guts, no mindset on doing things. So we just parted ways. And right now, I can tell you officially to the world that we are a trio, and it will always be like this. So whenever we need a bass player, we just have a session player.
Oh, no searching a full-time bass player?
No, I don't think it's gonna change.
Okay. Talking about the album, Acedia was officially released on June 29, 2021, independently. Seeing the album was released independently, in what formats are these now available?
Right now, only digitally. You can buy the whole album on Bandcamp. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on iTunes, on YouTube, of course. But we thought that, it's the 21st century. So the best way to push forward and to release it all to everybody at the same time is to go digital, really. We are still looking for a label. This would be the best way for us to have a CD in our hands. That's really like our physical release. But we are getting offers from different places, but it's all about money, Right now, today, when you're debuting with an album, you really need to be prepared to pay a lot of money to have your album released. So we are still waiting for the best proposal that we believe will be it. We just say, okay, let's go for it. It hasn't come yet. So we're patient. There's no rush.
Modor, if you don't mind, present and describe us the album track and list, please.
I really can't talk about the songs separately because, believe me or not, this album was conceived as a concept album. You probably may not hear it there on the album. There's no coherent story behind the lyrics, but the concept is about the void. The void is what brings it all together on the album, and what we were trying to do, to express with the lyrics, was to show that there's nothing behind this curtain. So the lyrics, you would have to talk to DarkMass about it in more detail because, as I've mentioned, his lyrics really, but we agree on this common subject that we try to show that what we believe in is that there's nothing there. There's nothing else to wait for, and this life is what it is. It's devoid of meaning. But we are not trying to sell this message that we are a depressive band, that we believe life has is pointless and you should kill yourself the day after you're born or something. We're too old for this kind of bubble. But the void represents this emptiness that we are surrounded by. If you think of it from this cosmic perspective, we are just one tiny ball hanging up in the empty cosmos with no other place full of life. We're just drifting nowhere, really, and there's no gods, no devils, no nothing. This is what you see. What you see is what you get. Yeah, this is what we're trying to say.
So,
okay?
According to you, no gods, no devil.
Yeah, no nothing really. Of course, they are good concepts, yeah. Good characters, mythologically speaking, you can use them in films, in role plays, yeah, in books. Great to go by. They're great figures, but there's nothing in them. Yeah, they're just fictional, 100%. I can speak for myself, of course, but this is what we see, what we understand as the void. The void is empty meanings, empty gestures. This is the concept behind the whole album.
Could you present us the tracking list, please?
Yeah, of course. Track number 1 is Apotheosis. Number 2, The Underdark. Number 3, Deathcult. Number 4, New Heresy. And number 5 is our first single that was released in January. It's called Lost.
Okay, thank you very much for presenting and describe this album, Modor. Seeking that the world, as I just said, is taking the vaccine in a very high speed and are looking forward to open shows again.
Yeah.
Do you see, is there any possibilities that shows will resume in Poland for this last part of 2021 or the early part of 2022?
Well, yeah, there's a number of shows already announced. First festival will take place in August, and I think it's very likely to happen. Right now, as I told you, there's a fiesta really in Poland. People have forgotten that there's a virus around, so probably a number of shows will come to life. There's a Marduk 30th anniversary that I'm going to participate in October. There's something in December also announced. So you can say that right now concerts are happening somewhere, but on a very small scale. So people are probably quite afraid and just want to see what happens.
But especially, talking about show starting, my interest is to know if you guys gonna be playing live.
No, right now, no plans for that. We just decided to focus on composing our second album. As you already know, we have no bass player, so it would be very, very tough to find one. Just for the sake of playing shows, we would have to rehearse material together. So no, right now, no plans for that.
When can we expect then the second album to be out?
Whoa, I don't know. I can tell you that. Well, let's hope it will come next year, okay?
Mid 2022?
Let's say just into 2022, right? So I don't know. It will be probably quite long, much longer than this one. We just kind of indulge ourselves in composing longer tracks now, so above 10-minute mark. So we'll see, but let's hope that we will set a recording session next year. That would be fantastic, really. But we are taking our time. As I mentioned, we're patient, so no rush.
But in the meantime, to all the guys out there, Modor, we all can just be patient, as you just said, and listen to the debut album, Acedia. I believe that this is a killer album. I must say, all the tunes, but I really love the second track, the Underdark, which is got me, my heart.
Thank you.
Bouncing like crazy.
Let me share a secret with you. This was the first track that INANES composed, was exactly the Underdark. So this is the oldest that you can hear from us.
If you ask me which one is my favorite track, that is my favorite track.
Thank you. Yeah.
I was saying, in the meantime, we can just listen over and over to this great album in waiting to the band's second album that they will take their time to release this. But yes, as we were always saying, we are here to explore the void and are looking for any meaning in the word bereft of a substance. Embrace the void. Okay, Modor, to end this great interview, the microphone of Madam Society Radio is all yours to thanks whomever you want to thanks.
First of all, thank you, DJ Vampire. Thank you, Metal Messiah, for taking your time talking to us. Great honor to be live on your radio. We are very, very touched by the opportunity to share the word, to share the void with the world through your mic. So yeah, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else that you want to thank, Modor?
Yeah, of course. First of all those people that actually bought our album via Bandcamp. The number is increasing. There are people actually buying it. So we're very happy. So thank you to especially those people that invested their money into buying the album. We really appreciate it. Then, of course, thank you, DJ Vampire, for this genuine love for our album. We are really happy that it got so far as to Florida. So it's great knowing that there are people out there, listening to us. I want to thank everybody liking the album. That's basically it. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy Smirnoff, of course. Yeah.
I was in in Poland a couple years ago.
Danzig.
We really had a great time being there. The people are so very friendly. I couldn't believe that the prices are so cheap, at least for me. The best vodka I was paying like $8 or $6 a bottle. I mean, come on. I felt myself like a king.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and you can buy it easily at every petrol station here. Yeah, no problem there. But if you're planning on returning Poland, so definitely go to some other places like Gdańsk. Of course, I can invite you to Torun. You're very welcome here. So let me know if you're coming.
Talking about Torun, where are you exactly located? Modor.
Midway between Gdańsk and Warsaw. We are in the northern Poland, but we are next to Bydgoszcz. Really. You just need to find it on the map. Well, it's probably closer to Warsaw than to Gdańsk.
So I'm looking forward to being Torun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have the best vodka. Yeah, I mean, believe me, I had some great Polish vodka there, but I think it's time for me to send you my address so you can send me a case of the Polish vodka here.
Okay, a case. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, there are many good vodkas here.
Okay. Okay, to go back to what we're here for, I mean, talking about this great band, Nanes, Modor, once again, I want to thank you very, very, very much for accepting this interview.
My pleasure.
It was a great pleasure once again talking to you. Yeah. Please say hi to the band members for me.
Of course I will. Thank you.
And I wish you all the best with the debut album, Acedia. Even though that you said you're not going to go on tour now, no. My wish is to see you guys sometimes live on the road.
Yeah, thank you. You never know. Yeah, life is full of surprises. Yeah, as Forrest Gump used to say. So yeah, you never know.
But in the meantime, yes, if I go over to Poland, I will stop by in your hometown of Torun to have some vodka with you, okay?
Yeah, sure. You can count on that.
And like I always say, metal on. Bye-bye.
Yeah, metal on.